In the sleek, modern office atop the 52nd floor of Grayson Enterprises, Ethan Grayson sat behind a sprawling mahogany desk, staring out at the Seattle skyline. At 43, he was a titan of industry, a billionaire whose name graced headlines and skyscrapers alike. Rain streaked the floor-to-ceiling windows, mirroring the storm brewing within him. He had conquered every challenge, except one. For years, he dreamed of a child to carry on his name, a legacy beyond wealth. Today, that dream faced its final test. At exactly 4 p.m., his phone buzzed, cutting through the silence. Dr. Margaret Hensley's voice came through, clipped and somber. "Mr. Grayson, I've reviewed your latest tests. I'm sorry, but the results are definitive. You're infertile." The word landed like a sledgehammer. Ethan gripped the edge of his desk, his knuckles whitening. "There must be a mistake," he said, his voice tight. "Run them again. I'll pay whatever it takes." Dr. Hensley sighed softly. "Ethan, we've run every possible diagnostic. This isn't something money can fix." The call ended, leaving him adrift in a sea of silence. Infertile, his legacy, his purpose, slipped through his fingers like sand. The city below, a testament to his triumphs, mocked him now. He'd built an empire, but what was it worth without an heir? His mind raced, replaying the doctor's words. He'd always believed he could bend the world to his will, but this was a wall he couldn't climb. Pushing back his chair, he stood, the weight of the news pressing down on him. He needed air, space, anything to escape the suffocating truth. Without a word to his staff, he grabbed his coat and stormed out, the elevator's descent mirroring the plunge of his hopes. Seattle's lights blurred past as he drove into the night, chasing an answer he couldn't find. Rain lashed against the windshield as Ethan sped across the Aurora Bridge, the Seattle skyline a blur through the downpour. His mind was a storm of its own, replaying Dr. Hensley's words on an endless loop. Infertile, the finality of it gnawed at him, drowning out the hum of the engine. He gripped the steering wheel tighter, knuckles white, as if sheer will could rewrite the truth. Without warning, the car hit a slick patch, tires losing traction on the rain-soaked road. Time slowed as the vehicle spun wildly, metal screeching against the bridge's guardrail. The impact jolted him, the airbag deploying with a deafening pop. Dazed, Ethan struggled to process what had happened. Smoke began to fill the cabin, acrid and suffocating. Through the haze, a figure emerged, a woman, her face set with fierce determination. She yanked open the door, her voice cutting through the fog in his mind. "Can you move? We need to get you out." Ethan blinked, disoriented. I think so," he muttered, fumbling with his seatbelt. His hands trembled, but he managed to unbuckle it. The woman, Ava Ramirez, helped him out, her grip steady as she supported his weight. Together, they stumbled away from the wreckage. Just as they reached a safe distance, the car erupted in flames, the heat searing against their backs. Panting, Ethan turned to his rescuer. "Thank you," he gasped, his voice hoarse. "You saved my life." Ava brushed a strand of wet hair from her face, her expression calm despite the chaos. "I'm just glad you're okay," she said, her voice steady. As paramedics arrived, Ethan watched her give a brief statement to the police, her composure unwavering. Who was this woman who had risked everything for a stranger? Despite the pain and shock, he felt a spark of curiosity, a desire to know more about the person who had pulled him from the brink. Ethan lay in a sterile hospital bed at Seattle General, the antiseptic scent mingling with the dull ache in his ribs. The crash replayed in his mind, the screech of tires, the burst of flames, but one image stood out. Ava Ramirez's face, resolute and unflinching. She'd vanished after the paramedics arrived, leaving him with a debt he couldn't ignore. He needed to find her, to thank her properly. As soon as the doctors cleared him to use his phone, he called his assistant, Claire. "I need you to track someone down," he said, voice raspy from smoke inhalation. Her name's Ava Ramirez. She pulled me from the wreck last night. I don't know much else. Maybe check police reports from the Aurora Bridge. Claire, ever efficient, called back within hours. Found her. Ava Ramirez, 34, works as a social worker in Tacoma. She's got a reputation, runs programs for foster kids, volunteers at food banks. Lives modestly, no social media presence. I've got an address if you want it. Ethan's curiosity deepened into admiration. A social worker from Tacoma, worlds apart from his high-rise existence. Arrange a meeting, he instructed. As soon as I'm discharged. 3 days later, he was out, ribs bruised but spirit restless. Claire had set up a visit at a community center where Ava worked. Ethan drove south, the urban sprawl giving way to quieter streets. The center was a humble brick building, alive with the chatter of kids. He spotted Ava instantly, tall, poised, directing a group of teens with a mix of firmness and warmth. Ms. Ramirez, he ventured, stepping forward. She turned, surprise flickering in her dark eyes. Mr. Grayson, she said, recognizing him from news clips. What are you doing here? I owe you my life, he replied simply. I had to thank you in person. Her guarded smile hinted at a story he was determined to uncover. The cozy Tacoma cafe buzzed softly with the hum of conversation, its rustic charm a stark contrast to Ethan's polished world. He sat at a corner table, the scent of fresh coffee grounding him as he waited. His blazer felt stiff among the casual patrons, but he didn't care. This wasn't about appearances. When Ava walked in, her gray sweater and jeans exuding quiet confidence, he felt an unexpected calm settle over him. Thanks for meeting me, he said, offering a tentative smile as they settled in. I'm not used to needing someone to pull me out of a mess. Ava's eyes crinkled with a faint grin. I didn't expect a call from you. Thought you'd move on from the random woman who yanked you out of a car. Not a chance, Ethan said earnestly. You're hard to forget. Their drinks arrived, coffee for him, herbal tea for her, and the conversation flowed naturally. Ava shared stories of her work as a social worker, her passion evident as she described helping foster kids navigate their struggles. Ethan found himself drawn in, her selflessness a sharp contrast to the calculated deals of his life. Then, her tone shifted, hesitant. I've got something to tell you, she said, fingers tightening around her mug. I'm pregnant. Twins. Found out a few weeks back. Ethan's heart skipped, but he kept his expression steady. Twins? That's amazing, he said, leaning in. How are you handling it? It's a lot, she confessed, her voice softening. I've been sorting it out on my own. Didn't plan to unload this on you. You don't have to do it alone, he replied, the words spilling out before he could second-guess them. If you'll let me, I'd like to help. Ava's gaze flickered with surprise, then caution. You don't owe me, Ethan. It's not about owing, he said firmly. It's about wanting to be there. As they left, a quiet connection lingered, stirring something new in him. The weeks following their cafe meeting blurred into a rhythm of quiet encounters across Tacoma and Seattle. Ethan found himself drawn to Ava's world. Small diners, waterfront parks, places where the air felt lighter than the boardrooms he'd once ruled. He'd show up with small, thoughtful offerings. A box of herbal tea, a soft blanket, a book on twin parenting, each delivered with a casual shrug to mask how much he cared. Ava would accept them with a playful smirk, her gratitude shining through her guarded exterior. One crisp afternoon, they sat on a bench overlooking Puget Sound, the water glinting under a rare burst of sunlight. Ava opened up about her fears, raising twins alone, the financial strain, the uncertainty. I've always managed, she said, staring at the horizon. But this feels bigger than me. Ethan nodded, his own vulnerability slipping out. I get that. I thought I had everything planned, my company, my life. Then I found out I can't have kids. It's like the one thing I couldn't control. Ava turned to him, her eyes softening. That's heavy, Ethan. I'm sorry. Don't be, he said, meeting her gaze. Meeting you, it's shifting something. I don't know what yet, but it's real. They talked for hours, the conversation weaving between her dreams for her twins and his disillusionment with a legacy built on wealth. With Ava, Ethan shed the CEO armor he'd worn for years, feeling lighter than he had in decades. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of orange, Ava leaned against his shoulder, a small, unguarded gesture that felt like a bridge between their worlds. I don't know why you keep showing up, she murmured, half teasing. Ethan smiled, a rare softness in his voice. Because I want Ava. That's all the reason I need. In that moment, the seeds of something deeper took root, fragile but undeniable. Ethan's growing connection with Ava didn't go unnoticed. Word reached his older brother, Nathan, a stern figure who guarded the Grayson family name like a fortress. In a sleek downtown office, Nathan confronted Ethan, his voice cold. A social worker from Tacoma? Really, Ethan? She's not one of us. What's your angle here? There's no angle. Ethan shot back, bristling. She saved my life. She's real. More than most people I know. Nathan scoffed, sliding an envelope across the desk. I offered her 50 grand to disappear. Let's see how real she is. Shock hit Ethan like a wave. You what? He stormed out, fury propelling him to Ava's modest apartment. When he arrived, she was waiting, her expression a mix of hurt and confusion. Your brother came by, she said flatly, arms crossed. Offered me money to walk away. Said I don't belong in your world. Ethan's chest tightened. Ava, I didn't know. I'd never. I believe you. She cut in, her voice trembling. But it made me think. We're so different, Ethan. Maybe he's right. Maybe this doesn't fit. Her words stung, forcing Ethan to confront the invisible walls of his life. He'd always lived by expectations, wealth, status, control, but Ava challenged all of it. I don't care about his world, he said, stepping closer. I care about you. Please, just give me a chance to prove it. Ava searched his face, her resolve wavering. I need space, she said finally, to figure out what this means, for me, for the twins. Ethan nodded, swallowing the ache in his throat. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. As he left, the weight of Nathan's interference settled on him. For the first time, he questioned the life he'd built, not just its emptiness, but the barriers it raised against something genuine. Ava's distance left a void, but it also lit a fire. He wouldn't let his past dictate his future. The boardroom at Grayson Enterprises buzzed with the low hum of strategy, Ethan half present as his executives debated quarterly projections. His mind drifted to Ava, her quiet strength, the space she'd asked for, when his phone vibrated against the polished table. Ava's name flashed on the screen, a jolt of adrenaline cutting through his haze. She never called during the day. Excusing himself with a curt nod, he stepped into the hall, heart pounding. Ava, he answered, but a stranger's voice replied. A nurse, clipped and urgent. Mr. Grayson? This is Tacoma General. Ms. Ramirez is in labor. It's premature. She's asking for you. She's not due for weeks. Ethan stammered, dread pooling in his gut. Memories of his father's stories, his mother lost to childbirth complications, flashed unbidden. I'm on my way. He bolted from the building, the Seattle rain blurring into streaks as he sped south. The drive was a torment, every red light amplifying his fear. He'd lost control once before, his dreams of a family shattered by a diagnosis. Now, the thought of losing Ava, of her twins arriving too soon, gripped him like a vice. At the hospital, a nurse led him to the maternity ward. Ava's cries echoed down the hall, sharp and raw, piercing through the sterile quiet. He burst into her room, finding her in a hospital bed, face etched with pain but lighting with relief at his arrival. Ethan, she breathed, clutching his hand as he reached her side. I didn't know if you'd come. I'm here, he said, voice thick with emotion, squeezing her hand. You're not doing this alone. The next hours blurred, doctors rushing, monitors beeping, Ava's grip tightening through each contraction. Ethan stayed, whispering encouragement, his fear buried beneath a fierce need to be her anchor. As the medical team prepared for an emergency C-section, he held her gaze, promising silently, I won't let go. The maternity ward's chaos faded as Ethan was ushered out of Ava's room, the nurse's firm voice cutting through his protests. Mr. Grayson, we need the space to focus. You'll see them soon. Reluctantly, he let her guide him to the waiting area, his hands clenching as he paced. The clock's slow ticks mocked him, each second stretching into eternity. Fear gnawed at him. Ava's pained cries still echoed in his ears, and the twins, so early, so fragile, weighed on his mind. After what felt like hours, a nurse appeared, her tired eyes softening with a smile. They're here, Mr. Grayson. 2 boys. Come with me. His chest tightened as he followed her to the neonatal ICU, the sterile hum of machines filling the air. 2 tiny incubators stood side by side, each cradling a small, pink bundle wrapped in wires and tubes. The nurse gestured to the first. This is Noah, she said gently. Ethan peered through the glass, tears prickling as he took in the boy's delicate features, tiny hands, a chest rising with shallow breaths. She moved to the next. And this is Owen. Slightly larger, Owen's eyes fluttered briefly, a fighter's spirit in his frail frame. They're so small, Ethan whispered, voice breaking. Will they be okay? They're tough, the nurse assured him. They'll need time here, but we're optimistic. Ethan pressed a hand to the glass, a surge of protectiveness flooding him. Hey, Noah. Hey, Owen, he murmured, the words catching in his throat. I'm here. These boys weren't his by blood, yet the pull he felt was primal, undeniable. When Ava, still weak from surgery, joined him later, they stood together in silence, hands clasped, watching their sons fight. In that moment, Ethan knew he'd found something worth more than any empire. Days bled into weeks in the NICU, Ethan's world shrinking to the soft beeps of monitors and the fragile lives within the incubators. He took an indefinite leave from Grayson Enterprises, stunning Claire and his team, who'd never seen him step away. But boardrooms felt trivial now. Nothing mattered more than Noah and Owen. He learned their rhythms, the way Noah's brow furrowed in sleep, how Owen's fingers twitched when he stirred. Every milestone, the first opened eyes, the first grasped finger, became his new measure of success. Ava, recovering slowly, joined him when she could, her presence a quiet strength. They'd sit by the incubators, sharing whispered hopes and fears. I never thought I'd have this, she admitted one evening, eyes on the boys. Someone by my side. You've got me, Ethan replied, squeezing her hand. For all of it. He adapted quickly, mastering the monitor's signals, celebrating each ounce gained. The nurses grew fond of him, teasing when they caught him reading Goodnight Moon to the twins in a low, steady voice. They hear you, one said, nodding at Noah's faint squirm. It matters. One night, alone with Owen, Ethan traced the glass with a finger. I used to think I needed to leave a mark. Buildings, wealth, he murmured. But you and Noah, you're teaching me what really lasts. The confession felt raw, a shedding of the man he'd been. Ava's visits grew longer, their bond deepening in the sterile glow of the NICU. They'd laugh over the boys' tiny quirks, cry when setbacks hit, and hold each other through the uncertainty. For Ethan, this was no longer about repaying a debt. It was about building something real. The twins, fighting day by day, became his purpose, and with Ava beside him, he glimpsed a legacy he'd never dared imagine. A year had passed since the twins' fragile arrival, and the Tacoma Community Center buzzed with life on Noah and Owen's first birthday. Ava had chosen the venue, a warm, weathered space surrounded by wildflower beds, its simplicity reflecting her roots. Balloons bobbed in the breeze, and a handmade banner stretched across the room, proclaiming "Happy First Birthday, Noah and Owen," in bright, uneven letters. Ethan watched from the sidelines, heart swelling as Ava cradled the boys, their chubby hands swiping at a small cake. Guests mingled, friends, foster kids Ava had mentored, a few curious Grayson staff, but Ethan's focus stayed on his family. Ava's laugh, bright and unguarded, anchored him. He'd slipped a ring into his pocket that morning, its weight a quiet promise. The man who'd once scoffed at love as a distraction now felt it in every glance she gave him. After the cake was cut, Ethan took Ava's hand, leading her to a quieter corner. The chatter faded as he faced her, pulse racing. "Ava," he began, voice low but firm. "You and the boys, you've rewritten my life. I used to think legacy was about power, something carved in stone. But it's us." Her eyes widened, glistening as he pulled out the ring. A simple band, no flash, just like her. "I want to build it with you, every day, every mess, every laugh. Ava, will you marry me?" A tear slipped down her cheek, her smile trembling. "Ethan, yes," she whispered, voice catching. "Yes, I will." Cheers erupted as nearby guests caught the moment, clapping and pulling them into hugs. Ethan scooped up Noah and Owen, their giggles mingling with the joy around them. Ava wrapped her arms around him, the four of them a tight, perfect unit. This, he knew, was his vow made real. A year later, Ethan stood in the living room of their modest Tacoma home, sunlight streaming through windows adorned with Ava's handmade curtains. Noah toddled toward him, Owen close behind, their laughter filling the space. Ethan scooped them up, marveling at how they'd grown. Sturdy now, no longer the fragile bundles he'd once watched over in the NICU. Ava emerged from the kitchen, her smile soft as she wiped flour from her hands. "Look at us," she said, leaning against the doorway. "Never thought I'd get here." "Me neither," Ethan replied, setting the boys down to chase each other. "But I wouldn't trade it." He'd adopted Noah and Owen months ago, the paperwork a formality to a bond already sealed. Public perception had shifted. Tabloids ran photos of him pushing a stroller, dubbing him the tycoon turned dad. Ethan barely noticed. The empire he'd built paled next to this life of late-night feedings and quiet mornings. They'd married in a small ceremony at the community center, surrounded by wildflowers and love. Nathan had come around, grudgingly impressed by Ethan's transformation. But Ethan's focus stayed inward, on Ava's resilience, the twins' boundless energy, the family they'd forged. That evening, as the boys slept, Ethan and Ava sat on their porch, the Puget Sound shimmering in the distance. He took her hand, feeling its familiar warmth. "I used to measure success in numbers," he said quietly. "Now it's these moments with you three." Ava rested her head on his shoulder. "It's enough, Ethan. More than enough." As dusk settled, he held her close, the twins' soft breaths a gentle rhythm inside. This wasn't the legacy he'd planned. It was better. Through twists of fate and choices made, they'd built something enduring, proving family wasn't born of blood, but of love, steadfast and true. Please rate the story on a scale of 1 to 10. Let us know, what do you think? Your support means the world, and we can't wait to bring you more incredible stories like this.